guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to do example related to batch Apex. Although we do not have 100,000 records to process in the batch Apex, but with this example, you are going to get a good understanding of how to implement or how to write a batch Apex class, how to implement all the methods that are available, all that good stuff. So what we are going to do is we are going to do an example, and through this example, what we are going to do is we are going to fetch all the account records where the billing state is equals to Texas. Go to all accounts. We're going to fetch all the account records where the billing state is equals to Texas. And for every contact associated with that particular account, what we're going to do is we are going to update the mailing information that we have mailing address. We will update to the billing address which is available on the account. Mailing address will be updated to the billing address which is present in the account to this one. Mailing address should be updated to this billing address. So this Kings Park 17th Avenue get copied to over to this contact which is associated with this. So this is what we are going to do using the example. So first thing is we are going to create a batch Apex class by implementing the database.batchable interface. And once we implement that interface, we also need to implement the start method, the execute method, and the finish method. So right now, let's say if we go ahead, when we run the batch process, what will happen is the billing address will be copied to the mailing address of the contact. So the mailing address will be the same, whatever with the billing address for with the account that this contact is related to. So the first thing what we're going to do is we will go to our developer console, and here I am going to create an Apex class, and we will call this class as update contact address info. So this is the name of my class, update contact address info. So hit the OK button. First thing is we need to implement the database dot of batchable interface. So here I'm going to say implement database dot of batchable interface, and it takes the parameter of the S object. S object. This is going to be the parameter type. And then we are going to go ahead and make this class a global class instead of the public class. We'll make this as a global class. And once you hit the save button, under the problem section, you are going to see that there are 3 problems. So the first is that it is asking that you not have that you implement all the methods, start, execute, and finish. So that is what the problems are. So we are going ahead and implement our start method. So it takes the return type of this method is query locator. This is going to be the return type, and the name of the method is start, and it takes in the one parameter of the type batchable contacts, batchable contacts. So this is going to be my start method. So once you hit the save button, one of the error will be gone. Okay, then now you can see that the problems is 2. Similarly, we are going to implement the execute method, and this method returns void. The return type is void. The name of the method is execute, and it takes in one parameter of the type. It takes in two parameters. The first is batchable contacts, and the second one is the list of account records. Now, where will be this list passed from? So this list will come from the start method. So as per the definition of the start method, let's see the definition of the start method. This method used to collect the records which will be passed to the execute method for the processing. And this start method will be called once at the beginning of the Apex job. And this method will return either this return type database.queryLocator, or it will give you an iterable that contains the records that will be passed to the execute method. So this is as per the definition of the start method. The execute method will be the actual logic that you want to perform on those records which are returned by the start method. That logic will go into this execute method. And for each batch, this execute method will be called. And the finish method is for after all the batches are processed. This is the method that will be called, and this will be called once. It will be called once because after the whole batch, all the batches are processed, this method will be called, and this is for sending an email saying stuff like that. So that is what we will use the finish method for. So going back to the developer console here. So right now we have only one error. Okay, then we will only have one error. Let's save this. Now we only have the one error. You can see here we only have the one error. So here I am going to say global. The return type is void. Name of the method is finish, and it takes in database dot of batchable contacts. This is BC. So this is what we have. The three methods are defined here. So we have the start method, execute, and the finish method. Now, as per the definition, this method should return something, either the query locator or the iterable, which has all the records that will pass to the execute method. So let's go ahead and write our return. Now this is going to return the query locator. And here we are going to pass the string query locator. and here we'll pass the string. So what the query would be? So I'm going to go ahead and explain the query. Select the ID, billing street, the billing city, billing city, uh, billing state, plus billing postal code, billing postal code, comma, and then we will also fetch the associated contact associated with these accounts. Mailing street, mailing city, and then mailing state, the mailing postal code from the contacts account, where the billing the billing state is equals to taxes. So let's say we are only interested in the taxes. So it will return you all the accounts associated, all the account associated with taxes, and it will return you the contacts associated with those accounts. So this is the query. So now let's go ahead and see if this query is a valid one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this query editor. Now if I go ahead and hit the execute, we can see here this is what is going to return. It will return you the billing city, the billing state, and the billing street only for the taxes. It will only going to return for those, and it will return you the contacts associated with the account. So we have one contact right now. So right now the mailing is null here. Then this is the second one. So this is what this query is returning. So that's exactly what we want. So all these records will be passed to the execute method. Now inside of this execute method, what we're going to do? So this execute method takes two parameters, one of the type patchable context and the other one is records that the start method is going to pass. So that will be stored in this list. So inside of this execute method, what we're going to do is we are creating a list to store the contact record. So we are creating a list here. Contact, contacts is equals to, this is empty list is equals to new of list contact. So this is the list that we have. We have created an empty list and then we are going to iterate over the records. These records. So these records are nothing but we are passing from the start method. So we iterate over the scope variable which has the list of account records, and we will also go over the contacts for contact associated with those accounts. So we are going ahead and look for the contact present in that account. And then next thing is we will update the mailing information for that contact to whatever is the billing information of the account. So contact dot of mailing street, that is going to be equals to account dot of billing street. Similarly, contact dot of mailing city is equals to account dot of billing city. Similarly, contact dot of mailing state is equals to account dot of billing state. Similarly, contact dot of mailing postal code is equals to account dot of billing postal code. And then once we have updated the contact, we will add these contact to the list. So we are going ahead and add the contact to the list that we created earlier to the empty list. And then we are going to update the list. So we are going to go ahead and update the contacts. And then we are going to don't do much in the finish method. So we will leave it as it is right now. What we're going to do is This is the method that we have. What we are going to do in this method, let me explain to you. So inside of this method, what we are implementing this database dot of batchable interface. And then once we implement, we have to implement the start, execute, and the finish method. So inside of the start method, we have to collect the records that will be processed and that will be passed to the execute method. So this is the query, and it is going to fetch all the accounts where the billing state is equals to Texas and the contact associated with those accounts. So it is going to fetch that. So basically it is going to fetch how many records? If we execute this query, this is all the records that is fetched through the query. Once these records are fetched, that will be passed to this execute method. And this in this execute method, what we are doing is we are going over the scope variable, which is nothing that will contain all the records. And then we are iterating over those records one by one. And then we are also iterating over the contacts associated with that account. And then we are updating the mailing street with the billing street, the mailing city with the billing city, mailing state with the billing state, postal code with the billing postal code, and then we have updated the contact. So basically we are updating the mailing information of the contact with the billing information from the account associated with that contact. Once we have done that, we are finally doing a DML update with updating the contacts. Then inside the finish method, we are not doing anything. So right now, if we have to call this, go to execute anonymous window and get rid of this. So we need to create an object of this class. We'll call this as update contact add info update contact obj is equals to new of this class. So let's copy from here, new of this, and then we are passing this object. And then what we are doing is we are passing this object to the database execute method. So there is a execute batch method. So we are passing this object that we just created to this execute method, this one. So I have not hit the execute button yet. So before doing that, let's go ahead and once we hit the execute button, it will create an Apex job, etc. So right now, if we go to the account, hit the execute button. So when we hit the execute button, we can see if we go to the contacts. Let's go to the contacts, this. Go to the account, details. Here the billing address is taxes. And if we go to the contact associated with it, that the contact is this one and the mailing address is also be the same. Let's go we learn in this example. So let's meet in the next tutorial. Till then, have a good day. Bye.